So, so here we are in this gorgeous fall day in the studio, and I am really excited about the conversation that we're going to have today with my very special guest, whom I will introduce in just a moment. But first, I just have to call attention to our beautiful new issue of Good Fat Life, and we're just really excited about it. The information's there, the quality, the writers, and the inspiration, and the recipes are delicious. So if you're interested in learning more, go to goodfatlife.com and you can subscribe and read a couple of the articles on the blog. So that said, I'm really excited about introducing my guest today, Ms. Emily Stone, and she has a company, and it's Empowered Bumps and Boobs. Right? Did I get it right? Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, welcome.
Thank you, Sherri.
So, start from the beginning. Tell me about this. This is so exciting.
So, this is a brand new business I'm launching, and I've always had a passion for supporting women through pregnancy, preparing for birth, and then after birth, like trying to figure out how to breastfeed and just navigating that whole time of life. I've done it 3 times myself. I have 3 little boys. And it always felt like a DIY project. Like as you get to the next
a good way
stage,
to put it. Yeah,
you're like, wait, how do I do this thing? And it's like, aren't there more resources available? So the idea is really to bring together women in those very specific phases of life, going through very specific transitions, together in community. So I'm launching a group coaching program. So if you are due in spring 2023, you would be grouped with other women in that same phase. And I am creating a course for you that you can take on your own, but you will meet with your group to sort of debrief and share and process things together. Because that's how we learn best, is getting feedback from other people and hearing their experiences and then sort of integrating. And that's the basic model. In an ideal sense, these women become lifelong friends that you then go through toddlerhood together, and your kids are in elementary school. And I've had the privilege of having friends like that, and it's made a world of difference. So to be able to create that type of community for other new moms feels like my purpose, and I'm really excited to be doing that.
That's awesome. So we were just talking about, before we started, about the joy of getting together with friends that we've had since, junior high, right? You and I both share a group of friends that we're still friends with since, we were 12,
yes,
right? And it's magic. And we have friends that and our kids, my oldest is 40. And their friends, my daughter and my son, are both best friends with friends that they had. Us moms were friends, yes, while we were going through pregnancy. Yes. In fact, one of the moms I met a week before she had Megan, the oldest, and it's magic. But the part that's missing from our friendship is we didn't have any education around what we were really going through. And I still remember being like, well, why didn't anybody tell me this, right? Especially about the changes in your body, the feelings in your body, and then just like breastfeeding. It's like, well, I don't know. I had this vision that it just all happened beautifully and easily, and no.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of our preconceptions come from media. Like if you've seen birth on a sitcom on TV, all you know is the woman like screams and she yells at the husband and she squeezes his hand, and then like magically there's a baby and it's all cleaned up and like, in clothes, and that's it. And that's like all you have to go on. So the first time I watched like I think I watched like a water birth video or something, and I was like, whoa, this is totally different. Like I had to change my entire mindset about what birth even is. And I don't know that many people even get that visual or that like mindset shift before they go into it. So sort of getting rid of some of the misconceptions we bring into it, and just like really getting back to like what is birth and what are the changes that happen in the body and the mind and everything.
Yeah, because it's huge. And as you were talking, it's like, I've never seen a water birth. I wonder what that looks like.
I think people who grew up on a farm have seen the rawness of like an animal giving birth.
Right.
It's not that different. if you take away all of the medical interventions, all of the things that we layer on top of it. Like before hospitals, women were giving birth like wherever they happen to be on that day. And not to say that I don't appreciate everything hospitals can provide, but our bodies know what to do. They've known what to do for a long time.
That is such an interesting analysis. I was raised on a farm, and so we had cows, and I saw lots of cows birth, and it's a pretty magic experience, right? And you're right. It's incredible to watch the moms just know what to do. Mm-hmm. They just do what they do. But as you're talking, I was also thinking about, we had Lamaze classes. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if they're still around. I'm not sure. But even then, I just have heard so many experiences where, because we didn't know, so you have no way of knowing if what you're going through is normal. Yeah. If it's exceptional, if it should be different than it is, and because we don't know.
Yeah, especially when it's your first one.
Your first one. Second one, you're a little more.
A little bit, but every birth is very different. And something that's very important to me, like in my mind, the very ideal birth is the least disturbed, the least amount of intervention. The woman's body is just doing what it's supposed to do. However, it doesn't always go that way. And so most important to me is creating a space of no judgment. If you want to have an epidural, you have the epidural. Whatever choice you want to make, as long as you feel empowered and it's not someone else telling you have to do the thing. Because when I talk to women about their birth stories, something I hear over and over is, I wish I had known, or I felt like I didn't have a choice, or I felt like this was done to my body and not like this was something I was empowered to do. And just when they talk about it, it's like people are still processing the trauma of their birth like 10, 15 years later. And they're like, I wish I had known all this before I went into it. So that's part of my mission too, is preventing those kinds of feelings after the fact.
And that's a really big deal. I mean, I have people that I know very well that have not ever really gotten over some really traumatic things that happened during the birthing process for them. And it's heartbreaking. Really? And it's not that they're the kind of people that just like hold on it's not that way. It's because it's such an intimate part of our life.
Right. Well, and also we don't always validate it, because what do people want to know? Is the baby okay? Is the mom okay enough? And then we kind of move on. And inside, the mom is like, I'm not actually okay. That's the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm supposed to just smile and be thankful that I do have this beautiful, healthy baby and like move on with my life. And no one's really interested in hearing what happened to me, the mom, because the end product is a beautiful baby, which is hard to ignore. They're very cute. So if I can make space for those kinds of conversations where it's okay to want to talk about your experience, that would be amazing. That's sort of another piece.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. And before and then after, because there's a lot that happens after that, especially with your first one, that is we need to process, right? Right? Yes. Yeah, we need to process. So tell me, how did you, what was your path to get here?
Sure. So my day job and what I've been doing for most of my career is learning experience design. I started out as a teacher, transitioned into like creating online courses, working for corporations, designing training. So I love behavior change, learning in community, and all of that is going to translate to what I'm doing now. And then a couple years ago, I started a podcast called Spilling the Milk, Breastfeeding Chats, where I interview women about their breastfeeding experience. Again, because this is not part of everyday conversation, yet it is happening to women all the time in isolation, and everyone feels like they're the only ones struggling with this thing. And by creating these podcast episodes, other women were like, oh yeah, that was also my experience. That happened to you too. So just sort of, I've always had this passion, and it feels like the right time to turn it into a business. I did get a business degree a couple years ago too, and just spread this to whoever needs it.
So that's Good Fat Life, in a nutshell too. Is that's our it's education to help people understand the value of good fat, mm-hmm. And we know it's a big part of breast milk.
Oh yeah,
right. It's a very high fat food.
Yeah, and actually, so I'm also passionate about good fat. I created a course called The Secrets of Low Carb Eating a couple years ago, and just because the conception that eating fat makes you fat, or what is a good fat and what is not a good. It's like so fuzzy in our minds from all the advice we've been given over the past few decades. And so
that's wrong.
It's very wrong. And when I'm creating my nutrition piece of the course, it will be a component. Let's learn about these good fats and the benefits to you, not only now that you're pregnant and then postpartum, I mean, for everybody, but specifically now that you're pregnant and postpartum, you would be depriving yourself and your baby if you weren't consuming these good fats.
I love you. Right?
I'm spreading the message.
Spreading the message. That's great. Well, and that's why we're here, because it's important. I really do remember so many times where it was just. In fact, we have a section in the magazine called "Good to Know," and it came from. It literally came from my experiences with pregnancy, with being a new mom, and with breastfeeding, where I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me this? And I just thought we just need to have a space somewhere where we can learn those things that are good to know. Right?
And for me, part of it's like removing shame. So I've had just individual health coaching sessions with people, not even necessarily pregnant. People feel shame when they eat fat. Like they tell me about their breakfast and like, oh, and I had like bacon. I know it was bad. I'm like, whoa, back it up. Like you eating bacon doesn't make you a bad person. There's like so much wrapped into that. And especially when you need all those calories to produce the breast milk, to be counting calories or counting fat grams during that time is doing a huge disservice to you and to your baby and to your overall health. So that's something I'm passionate about, is just removing the shame around like what we tell ourselves about what we eat, especially when your whole job is keeping another person alive through your breast milk.
Wow. You're just taking me back like years because I remember that. I actually remember being in my doctor's office and practically in tears because of the weight. It's like the weight doesn't just fall off. I mean, it comes off, but you need time. But I was just so shamed that I wasn't back to my pre-pregnancy weight. And he's like, really, you're okay?
Well, good. I'm glad your doctor said that. Yeah.
He was, but still, I mean, it didn't matter, right? I'm just saying it didn't matter because there's a society thing around that.
That's such a terrible time to have to get dressed between, like, you had the baby, but you're not back to your regular clothes, and the maternity clothes are like a little too big. It's like you cannot get dressed in the morning. I mean, elastic waistbands are a must still, but it just feels icky to not have a wardrobe of clothes that fit you. So that time I don't like that time.
Well, and I went back to the corporate world, at 5 weeks, and you don't fit into your pre-pregnancy clothes, and I was going to be, no way was I going to be wearing maternity clothes.
Right.
So yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. So why this particular topic? I mean, how did you, I get your education, your love of education and learning, and we've got lots of other topics to talk about that with the platforms and stuff. But so why, and your name, why Bumps and Boobs? I mean, I get it, but.
Yeah. Well, again, and that's like, I think everything I'm doing will feel a little uncomfortable to people because these are just things we don't necessarily say out loud, and we don't always say boobs out loud. And I mean it in the sense of like breastfeeding and our beautiful bodies. So yeah, I don't really remember how I landed on Empowered Bumps and Boobs, but it just seemed to fit when I got there. And I am in a health coaching program right now through Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So eventually I will be a board certified health and wellness coach. And part of that journey is finding your purpose and your niche with like health and wellness covers everything and everybody at every stage of life. So where can I make the most impact? And it's very clear. I am the person at parties that people come up to and tell me about like the new diet they're trying. Like I'm definitely, like a go-to, like they know I'm interested in nutrition. I'm the person at the party people come up to and tell me like, how is breastfeeding going? Or I have a friend who's pregnant and she's going through this specific thing. I know you can understand. So I feel like that's already organically who I am to people.
Okay.
So why not turn it into a business
Okay.
and stop wasting my time doing other things if that's really
Where
I can make the most difference.
Where your niche is.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's brilliant. And when I first heard your name, it's like, okay, I get it. It's a great name, right?
Yeah, and empowered means I don't have the answers for you, for sure. There's 1,000 questions you could ask about pregnancy and birth and postpartum, and medical professionals are fully equipped to handle some of those questions. But what about like the spiritual changes, the changes to your relationship, the changes to your relationship to your career, your mental health, like all of that cannot be answered at the doctor's office. Also, I don't have the answers, but I can empower you to own that for yourself and feel permission to explore that. And just like, yeah, this is a time to figure out who you are in this new phase of life. And anything I can provide you with, the tools, the community, just the permission, that's where I come in.
Oh my gosh. Emily, as you're talking, it's my brains are spinning.
That's good.
I mean, really? Because you're right. You go through so many things. You're right. Your entire universe changes, and we're not prepared for that. And I'm even finding, like, I'll go back to good fat, is that we have these cycles of life, right? And one of them is birth through death, and we're different in each phase, but yet there's something about us, and I don't know if it's our society or what it is, but we kind of keep going back to 25 or 30. I mean, but that's not where we are. Mm-hmm. Or you hear it all the time. You get to be my age and people go, I feel so young. And then I look in the mirror and it's like, what? So just don't look in the mirror. But the truth is, we really change during those things. Mm-hmm. There's lots of things that do change, and we don't talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited to for all the new moms and littles that get to experience the outcome of the community that you're creating. And you love good fat. So
yes, that will be infused throughout the curriculum for sure. And the approach I'm planning to take for the course is as an integrative nutrition coach, I look at like the 12 areas of nutrition, or like the 12 areas of health, career, relationships, your home environment, food, your physical movement, sleep, all those things. And so we'll look at each piece a couple at a time each week. You can reflect on where you are, and then maybe some of the changes that are happening or that you foresee happening as you become a mom. And then in our group, we can all reflect back to each other what we're thinking and feeling, and hear what other people are going through. So that's sort of going to be the organizing framework, is the 12 areas of health.
I love it. And we have, that's an underpinning too for Good Fat Life. And my people are like, well, why Good Fat? And I'm like, you have to start somewhere, right? So if you've got these 12 things, you just start with one, and then it starts moving the rest of them.
They're so interconnected. Right? So when someone commits to getting a good sleep routine in place, magically they're craving less sugar during the day. And now they're craving less sugar, and they have more energy. And now they have more energy, so they're more productive at work. And it's like, it's crazy to see.
And they want to move more, and then they move more and they feel better.
And then they make a new friend because now they take walks every morning. It's unbelievable how making a change in one area, has ripple effect, and then ripple effect in your family, in your community. So yes, I agree. Start with the thing that makes sense for you right now, and you'll see changes in other areas too.
Right. So that's our underlying philosophy. I love it. So how would people find you?
Right. So right now, the best way to find me is empoweredbumpsandboobs.com. I have a spot to add your email address so you can subscribe to our newsletter. And then as soon as the group coaching program is live, you'll be the first to know. I'm also working on a book. There will be other courses you can take. I have a live event coming up if you're local to the Brighton, Michigan area. On November 17th at Brighton Lighthouse, we're having our first community circle for pregnant and postpartum women. But going to the website, empoweredbumpsandboobs.com, and signing up for the newsletter is the very best way to stay up to date.
To get started. And I would guess that you could, if somebody doesn't live in the area, that you'll have community from anywhere.
Most of our groups will be virtual. That's just the world we live in, and that's how to reach the most people. But what what an exciting idea to also have some people in person doing groups where I am locally. So I'm going to try to do both.
To do both. That's how I feel too. It's like, why not? Right? Because we can.
And if someone else wants to try to start this in person, somewhere else, then talk to me and I'll help you figure out your plan too.
Your plan too. Well, what a treat. I just feel like I just got the biggest gift today. I was so excited to talk to you and learn more and share what you're doing, because it's huge. Huge. And I know, with my own kids and grandkids, there were lots of things that were a struggle, and if they had friends, but you just never know how much, I don't want to say accurate, but the quality of information that can be shared, because there's lots of I don't want to.
Well, everyone has an opinion for sure. Like as soon as you're pregnant, everyone has an opinion on all of the things.
That's true. And also people can kind of you can feel like you need to talk about something, but there could be nobody that you feel is going to understand what you have to say.
You kind of need an objective third party, because your partner's going to feel a specific way. Your family's going to feel a specific way. Your friend who just went through a birth is going to have their own perspective, and you wouldn't want to offend them. So having sort of a separate person to talk to, I think, is really important.
And especially a separate person who understands and has some education around what's really going on.
Right.
Right.
Sort of a 10,000 foot view. Like, oh, yep, been there, seen that before.
Yeah. So one of the questions I just always like to ask as we wrap up is, so what would be a piece of advice you could give to somebody who's maybe in that stage of their life to get started?
That's a good one. So many things. So something that's huge for me is just understanding how your nervous system works and the importance of being able to get yourself to a calm state. So throughout your day, it's very possible that you get triggered into some sort of fight or flight, tense. You're probably not even aware that it's happening. If you can learn strategies and what works for you to get yourself back to a calm nervous system, it might be dancing, it might be deep breathing, it might be a little bit of meditation, it might be calling a friend. If you can get that skill down and you are in a calm nervous system state more often than not, that will have huge impacts for you now while you're pregnant and when you become a mom. And that actually applies to everybody, but that's just something I'm so passionate about. You have to be intentional, but it makes a huge difference in your life if you can regulate your nervous system like that.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I didn't, we didn't have those kinds of conversations really back when I was pregnant in the day. But now my 4-year-old grandkids are meditating.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh, I have so much hope for the next generation.
It's so cute. And it's really funny when Grandpa comes into the room and is not behaving properly. It's like,
Grandpa, you need to meditate.
Exactly. No, Grandpa. No. It's hysterical, actually. But I'm so proud of them and delighted to see that they're learning tools to settle their nervous system. So that's great. Well, it's been such a delight having you. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you, Sherri. Thanks so much.
Okay. Be well.
You too.